Oh my goodness. G'day there. Welcome back to the Ray Side. We are talking some delicious news hitting our feeds this morning. Well, mine this morning, your today, or this evening, wherever you are. Dave FIloni is our new Chief Creative Officer of Lucasfilm. This is something that has been a long time coming. I feel like he was already in this spot anyway, but it's so satisfying to get the official announcement of it. We're going to be going over that news today, what we all think of it, having a discussion about it. We're also going to dive into some really great clips of Dave FIloni talking about Star Wars and just what is his approach to Star Wars. So we're going to be going over all that today, as well as hearing from you guys. But I can't wait for the show. I'm so glad you're with me. Sorry for the myriad of technical issues before the show, but we're here. We're not in the usual spot, but we're here, and we're going to have a great time regardless. How are we doing? Who's in the chat? We've got Zam, we've got Master Sin, Master Julie, Master Yava, Master Tim here as well. Amiga, how you doing? Kirsty's here. I love it. Master Troha, there you are. JS in the chat as well. It is so great. Angelina, Master Sag, Clam's back as well. I know, I blame him every time. Absolutely. Amiga back as well for more. Shin Hotter, yeah, she's got the force, 100%. Fatch is in the chat. Wow, that kind of rhymes. That's satisfying. And Lightning as Chicken as well, always at the same time. So Zach in the chat as well. How you doing? Ooh, how we doing? How we feeling? How we going, chat? Let's bring up one of the articles. Oh damn, I've just had this up. Where did it go? Let's bring up the article. Let's go over the information together. I think we all know roughly what it's saying, but we'll go over it anyway. So let's use the Hollywood Reporter, I guess. Should we put our chill music on? I don't know, detective music on? I don't know what kind of, but it's this classic one. Let's crank that on. Let's get into it. Here we go. All right, so here's the article. So this is from Hollywood Reporter, but obviously, like every chain ever has like covered this. Dave FIloni, named Lucasfilm Chief Creative Officer. Now, before we get into the details of this, I'm not the first person to kind of call this. I have said this for probably about 3-4 years now. Dave FIloni shouldn't be the president. He absolutely should not be the president of Lucasfilm. He needs to be the creative. I think Chief Creative Officer is like the term. I think I said creative director. He should be in this role. Head of stories, like creative thinking. He should be in this role. He absolutely shouldn't be president. And this is, I think, why. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd the article go? Oh my God. There we go. There we go. Yeah. So I think obviously this role for him is perfect. I think it is absolutely where he needs to be, 100%. Wow, Chicken celebrating 9 months today. What a good day for it. Finally, someone with a cowboy hat is in charge. That's what we've been waiting for, isn't it? A cowboy hat's in charge. Absolutely. Great Star Wars news today. Right, absolutely. Is this a new position created for Dave, or was someone else in this spot previously? That is actually a really good question. I think someone... Let me just double check that fact, actually. Let me double check that. That's a great point. I don't know if there was anyone specifically in that role before. That's a really good point. They haven't really made mention of that. To be honest, I feel like we would have known the person if there was someone in that before. Like, this does sound like a newer role. I can't think of, like, I think if there was someone in this role before, we would have known about it. You know what I mean? But I'll look into that afterwards, because I feel like there should have been. Hey, Angelina. Hey, Emperor Palpatine. How you doing? Absolutely. So this is meaning he gets to decide what shows and films will come out. I mean, he says in his quote here, let's go down here a little bit. His quote about it, I think this is a really great way to say it. I'm not telling people what to do, Filoni told Vanity Fair on his new role, but I do feel I'm trying to help them tell the best story that they want to tell. I need to help get across, I need to be a help across the galaxy here, like part of the Jedi Council almost. So I think this is such a great statement from Dave. I think, he's not, the cookie cutter cutting off all the edges willy-nilly, like his is the final say. But I think he explains really well. He's the one helping steer the ship creatively, which I think, in my opinion, they could have always had a lot of help with from the start. I think there's been some really great ideas and shows and moments to come out of specifically the streaming of Star Wars, the TV shows of Star Wars. Book of Boba Fett was, I think, a really great example of an excellent concept, maybe just not creatively steered in the right way. And I think having someone like Dave Filoni, obviously we don't need to talk too much about how great he is or his, kind of credits to Star Wars. But I think we always needed him in this spot, probably a little earlier. Like it is fascinating that they have not put him in this role sooner, but we're here now. We can't complain. But it's really, really fascinating. Hey, Vibey, how you doing? Thank you. I'll be the president. I'll do it. Totally agree. Dave is a creative and a storyteller. He doesn't need to be stuck in the office with all the suits. We finally get more cohesive Star Wars from Disney with Dave there. Absolutely. And I think we'll achieve that more cohesiveness with Dave in the creative role. Again, this point of good. I totally disagree with those people who be like, oh, you should be president. You should take over. Yeah. Like what Kirsty's saying here. It's creating that cohesive. What's the word I'm trying to say here? Cohesivity? I think that's a new word, but we'll use it anyway. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, there you go. So here's kind of a bird's eye view. I'm not familiar with DC, so that doesn't make any sense, but maybe to other people. Hey Thatcher, how you doing? Yeah, 100%. This is good, says Master Saj. Dave makes Star Wars good, makes Star Wars good, or if not, it will be a full clean house, and Dave will be gone with Kathy soon. Win-win either way. Yeah, I mean, he does bring a lot of direction to what he makes. Even the Ahsoka show, I think there was, personally, my personal opinion of the Ahsoka show, there was very few kind of hiccups of any sort that I didn't like or whatever. My personal enjoyment of the show, and I think that was such a great example of him, Dave Filoni, working with a crew. Obviously, he can't do everything. Working with a group of people, of genius creatives, to make a really fantastic Star Wars show. I think that's a really, Ahsoka wasn't perfect, but it's a fantastic example of the cohesiveness. That was the biggest thing that stood out to me from Ahsoka. It's just the cohesiveness of all the episodes together, where I could probably say shows like Book of Boba Fett, it very much lacked that cohesivity. It just definitely much lacked that. But hopefully him in this, again, he's kind of been tiptoeing into this role very slowly. I don't think it's going to be a massive change, and we're going to see a massive difference in terms of, he's kind of already been doing this because he's executive producer on most of the shows. But this more just cements maybe the overall storytelling of all movies and shows, which is really good. I hope this kind of means now he has more of a hand in the movies as well, which is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Hang on, let me just plug in the charger. My God. Okay, where were we? There's not much else said in this article. It's just kind of talking about his credits, because I think there'll be quite a few Star Wars fans out there that maybe don't know the name of Dave Filoni at the moment. Or you just, random people, so that won't mean much to them. But, to us, obviously Clone Wars and Rebels fans, we know the guy quite well, I feel. Dave FIloni. I was about to say, we got it. Yeah, that's his new name. Dave FIloni. Come on. No, we're just in a different room at the moment. So what do we all think? Give me the thoughts. I'm reading through the comments now. Dave just needs to be the guy that keeps the big picture and make sure nobody's project steps on each other. Let the different creative people do their things and build everyone up together. Yeah, I think that was maybe a previous issue. Again, my core knowledge of Star Wars isn't really on the corporate side. I don't have a lot of knowledge in it. I don't know all the names behind the scenes. That is not my forte of being a Star Wars content creator. But from what I infer and absorb from around me, my take and what I can kind of see is there's been always such a clash of creative differences. And I mean, that happens in the film industry. That's gonna that's an inevitable. People are very different of how they express and do things, and people have different styles, absolutely. But you know, you take, I know limited about it, but the like creative process to make the Solo movie was tumultuous, to say the least. So many writers, producers, creators, like showrunners leaving, adding crazy rewrites, like it was insane. So again, I think the key word, who was it before? Was it Kirsty said that cohesion is the key word with Dave Filoni, and that's what I think a lot of people, including myself, really hopes he brings to being in this role. That's what he can bring into the Star Wars galaxy, because I think that's something I think I have missed from the content. You know, I really enjoyed Bad Batch. I really enjoyed Ahsoka. I actually really enjoyed Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi, even with their, you know, there's kind of a few missteps in there. I really enjoyed those shows. But there was a lack of something in the background of like, this is all the same galaxy. It doesn't have to be like the same tone or characters or whatever, or, you know, same timeline, but it's like, there's got to be something that brings it all together, kind of, I don't know what the word is I'm going for. But the cohesion of all the shows together should feel right. Like, you know, the prequel movies are the universe of the original trilogy. Like, you don't, like, yes, it's easy because of the characters, like, they're directly the same, but it's like, you know they're the same, but it's a different time. Like, it's years before and all that. But you know the Clone Wars show fits in with those movies. Like, it is just this feeling of Star Wars storytelling, which is so specific and what makes it so special, so impactful to people. That has probably been lacking a little bit in the Star Wars storytelling in probably the past 4 years, perhaps. But I feel the difference with Ahsoka. Let's get into more comments here. Interesting way to fire Kathy without firing her. It's not, because he'll be working with her. If Carrie's in decision making, she just needs to side with Dave and Kathleen's BS all the time. Yeah, I wouldn't take this as them firing Kathy, to be honest. But yeah. Who's Carrie Beck? Great question. Let me talk about Carrie Beck, because I need to go back to this stream about 6 months ago. I think it was a Bad Batch stream or something. I was like, guys, we need to make more note of Carrie Beck. Such a great creative in the Star Wars world. She was executive producer. Let me look at the things. She was the executive producer of the Ahsoka show, but previously, like, why she's involved. She was a co-producer of the season 7 of Clone Wars, and a lot of the Clone Wars she was involved in. Co-producer in Mando, co-producer in Rebels. What am I missing here? I'm missing a bunch. Let's get the IMDb up. Let's get that up. Hang on. Here we go. Carrie Beck. So this name, as much as we're celebrating Dave Filoni in this news right now, this name of Carrie Beck is important. It is very, very important that she's involved as well here, because she is so important. I'm such a big fan of Carrie. I'm such a fangirl for Carrie Beck. So let's go back. So producer and associate producer on Rebels, Force of Destiny. That's something I've never seen. Co-producer on season 7, key season 7 of Clone Wars. She was obviously involved in Boba Fett. Executive producer of Tales of the Jedi. Like, come on. Co-executive producer and co-producer of Mando's show. And then, the key thing is that Carrie Beck is almost like Dave's Padawan, Carrie Beck, and the other guy. I'm going to forget the other guy's name, but there's another guy there that I always forget his name. It's Carrie Beck and who are the co-executive. I probably can find it actually. Are the co-executive producers of Bad Batch. Maybe I'm thinking of Jennifer Corbett. Maybe I'm getting confused with my people here. I think I was thinking of Jennifer Corbett. But see, like, look at these stats of Carrie Beck. She's so great. My God, she's so good. And present the stories have to fit together. Yeah. And again, it does the fitting of the stories and the cohesion that I think Star Wars needs to bump up. It isn't every like character has to like cameo in every show. That's not what I'm getting at. I think the cohesion is the depth of storytelling. The depth of storytelling definitely needs to deepen. I think Bad Batch, oddly, as much as I didn't love season 2 as much as season 1, or as much as Clone Wars, Bad Batch held that depth pretty well, to be honest. And the story, like the character journeys, were very good. But that's easy to say because Bad Batch has like 20 episodes in a season, as opposed to like 6 or 8 in the TV shows we've been getting. But yeah. Anyway. Let me go back to. I got to reread all the comments. I'll keep going back. I wonder if Jon Favreau will continue to be an important partner and voice for Filoni, or maybe he will move on to different projects of his own. I think he'll still be involved. I think Jon Favreau's skill is definitely in the production of TV shows and films. I think he'll still be an integral part. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's very important to this kind of concoction of creatives they have back here. But yeah, I think he'll still be around. Really, I haven't seen. There's so many sides of the Star Wars fandom. I haven't seen much hate for Dave, to be honest. I see like the odd comment here and there, but to be honest, I've been avoiding Twitter like for the past few months, and it's been so enjoyable. So maybe I'm just not up with it. I'm so sad so many fans have turned on him after Ahsoka. It makes sense to me. He has delivered so many wins for us. Don't give up for him now. What do you mean? Oh, it makes no sense. Sorry, I thought you said it does make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I really don't understand it. Yes, she's a really clever woman. She's really, really great. And again, like, just look at this slate. Like, she was so key in all these very, very well-loved stories. She was very, very good at her job. She works well with Dave. I need to do a show on like just Carrie Beck and then also Jennifer Corbett. I love Jennifer Corbett. Oh, so many people back there. I love. Yeah. Master Julie on the spot here. I think Jon Favreau will always have a position side by side with Dave. Always. Yeah, I think so. I think this will, because obviously like this is a little bit different over here to like just being the executive producers or whatever, executive creators or whatever for any of the shows. But I definitely think he'll, like, I don't think we could read into like, oh, John's going. Like, I don't think so. I think John's just hanging around doing other things. Cohesion is the word of the... I know, I've said it like 50 times this stream. I haven't shut up about cohesion. Oh. The bad outweighs the good to the people. Yeah, true. It's very true. Dave FIloni, I love that. Is the GOAT and happy about this. Now let's get Sam Witwer a job here and have him be an advisor or something like that. That guy does know like everything about Star Wars. I love Sam. He's so fantastic. He's so fantastic. I don't think people are turning on Dave. I think there's just a large number of people who've always disliked some of the ways Dave operates and rewrites canon for his own good. That's actually a really good point. That is a really good point on how he does take, and we've kind of been learning that. Hey, we've been learning a little bit about that during the Rebels behind the scenes and also the Clone Wars behind the scenes that we've been doing here on the channel. There's been quite a few things where it's like, oh, this is an element and concept in Legends, and Dave kind of takes what works best and what he can work into something else. And that's, I can kind of understand those deep Legends fans can kind of get upset about that, but I think that's a positive thing. Like, he's taking the greatest aspects of Legends and bring them to light and bring them in a visual way, not just like in a book that was written 30 years ago. Like he's bringing it into this new visual way. I think is really cool. But yeah, fair enough if those like deep hardcore, shout out to if there's anyone in the chat that's just those hardcore Legends fans. You're a niche, but you're there. Yeah, 100%. I think some of the fans, nothing will ever make them happy. Ever. Many are happy fans. Some are just bitter. Yeah, 100%. I don't think people are turning on Dave as people not being patient to let the stories be told. Yes, this is my thing I won't shut up about is that like we need multiple seasons. Goddamn. Like we need again, think of the character arc of Ahsoka. We didn't get that in season 1 of Clone Wars. We didn't get her character arc in just one season. Imagine if like season 1 of Clone Wars and we're just all like, oh, that's enough. We need multiple seasons of these shows. Like even shows like Book of Boba Fett, even Kenobi, I think both of those shows would benefit from a season 2. Mandalorian obviously is finding that benefit in having multiple seasons, and we're expanding this character, we're exploring more things. I feel like we know Din Djarin quite well. Like whether you like or not like the story or direction or whatever, it's like, well, we at least know like quite a lot of information about this guy. So I think it's quite a key thing that we have multiple seasons. 100%. Ben saying it's just amazing seeing Dave's progression from the Avatar: The Last Airbender to now such a great arc. 100%. It's such a great meeting story, which we're about to get into. We're about to get into some behind the scenes videos that are on YouTube that I found that are just phenomenal of talking about Dave, which I can't wait to get into. So let me get that up. But we'll keep going through some of these comments as I preface the video. It's so loud. Oh my God, it's so loud. So let's get on the screen. Tangible hope. We've always had tangible hope. Hey, Crystal Kyber, how you doing? Ahsoka is great, but she is what Luke should have been. The story revolved around Luke and Anakin, and some of the shoehorns for Ahsoka don't really make sense. Expand on the shoehorns. Hey, Serena's been a member for 8 months. Excited for the future of Star Wars. Love to feel the energy, Serena. Love to feel it. But thank you so much for being a member for 8 long months. My God, I'm so glad you're with us. What a good time. Okay, we're going to get into this video real soon. Let me just go through some more comments. So Dave got the new position. It's been needed for so long. Have so much hope for the new content. Absolutely. Every TV show needs more than 8 episodes in a season, says Soul Fury. Even filler episodes have merit and build character 100%. They're filler for a reason. Filler isn't negative. You need to have the story going there. You need to have context. You need to have quiet moments, loud moments, fast moments. You need to have multiple emotions, multiple experiences to really build a character and make someone the audience really connects to. We can't kind of just have it in like one episode where you do this one thing. So 100%. Rattleshot coming in with only 8 episodes per season on TV and a TV budget. Filoni delivered more than I could ask for. I've been a Star Wars fan since I saw A New Hope at the Walk-In Theatre in 1977. Oh my goodness! Are you with there's a bunch of you that have seen the original trilogy in theaters when it came out, and that we hold you dearly. You are the gods of the fandom. This is reminding me of a meme that I saw that Dave is the son and the guy bowing saying, Dave will believe. Oh, I love that meme. That's a good one. Yeah, it's like the baby son, but it's like Dave is the son. Sin City coming in for $5 dues. I forgot what I was going to say with this super, but here you go anyway. Thank you so much for the $5 dues, Sin. Uncle Harlow for life. Let's go. Dave giving us the Uncle Harlow story. Let's see that next. Yeah, me too, Christmas mate. Me too. All right, we're going to jump into this video. I thought this would be really fun to jump into. We've been looking on the channel here a lot into the behind the scenes of the Clone Wars. We've been doing it usually today. We should be actually today going through behind the scenes of the unreleased Clone Wars arc, but we're going to save that for another day. But this is a really great video. I only watched the first like 20 seconds and I was like, hold up, we need to watch this together with you guys. So we're going to jump into this, start watching what it's about. Oh, there's the new theory. He's Uncle Harlow. Let's do it. But we're going to jump into this video. It's George and Dave talking just about stuff, just talking about their relationship. Clone Wars, was done back in Clone Wars days. And I just thought it would be really cool to hear them talk about, really the first series that got Dave Filoni going on this, like what Ben Maynard said before, on this arc. Dave Filoni has been on his own character arc to get where he is today. So let's jump in and have a listen.
And talk about the Clone Wars. This is a really amazing opportunity to hear from both of you. I wanted to start from the very beginning and talk about the creative impetus in 2005 after you finished Revenge of the Sith. And just a few short years later, we had a full season of the Clone Wars. What was it that inspired you to move Star Wars into a weekly television animated series? And what was it that you really wanted to achieve?
Well, I've always been interested in animation and everything. And so it seemed like a natural to explore the Clone Wars because we just barely touched on them in the movie. And I thought there were a lot of stories there that would be very interesting and could sustain itself for a TV series.
Dave has told the story of when he first met you and he interviewed with you about this job. I wanted to ask you if you had any recollections of what your first impressions of Dave Filoni is. I'm sure everyone here who works with Dave would love to hear it, if you can recall.
I can't. I'm an old man now. I must have liked him because he got hired.
You two worked together so closely for so many years on the Clone Wars. Do you recall maybe one of the best pieces, if not the best piece of advice that George ever gave you? And I'm going to hand you my microphone because we're sharing.
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, the teaching wasn't just outward for the audience. I mean, I think that we learned a lot every day. That was the big deal with this show. We must have drove you crazy in the beginning with what we didn't know. And the big difference was how patient George was at teaching us all these things about film. He would send us to watch certain movies and we'd rent DVDs and start to just upload this whole vocabulary. The second episode you saw tonight, Landing at Point Rain, was at first a total disaster. And George, Jason Tucker, and I sat in Avid for 2 days recutting that episode with live action footage. George had Battle of the Bulge, The Four Feathers, Battle over Britain, and we took a bunch of stock footage and footage from movies that he had and literally cut that episode together out of live action footage. And that's why the pace of it feels so fast. And up until that point, we hadn't really done anything like that in animation.
I wanted to ask you about the medium of television versus a feature film. And do you find it more challenging with Star Wars doing a weekly series, or is it somehow more forgiving in terms of longer character arcs or more episodes?
There's nothing forgiving. We weren't making this for television. We were making it for the big screen. I said, think of this as a feature. Everything about it, the style, attention to detail, the lighting, everything is done at a feature level, even though it's going on television. Being young and impressionable, he said, well, you can't do that.
Did I say that? Would I say that?
I
was just so good.
How are we going to do that? It's impossible. Especially like after we cut that sequence.
Yeah.
It was like about 600 shots more than what they had in the first place.
And you were right.
And you did it, if you go through and do that, eventually you get the hang of it and then you don't say that. But I always keep them on their toes. I always say, here, that was hard. Here's something that's even worse.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important lessons, which I gave you in the beginning, which was, and Francis Coppola taught me, he says, look, if you can't write, you can't direct, because all you're doing is telling a story on film, but the story is still the same. And if you don't know what's...
Damn, that I just got to pause that, because that quote, if you can't write, you can't direct. That is such a powerful statement. Wow.
Story is, and you don't know how to write the story, you're not going to know how to direct it.
Yeah, there were two things I can remember very plainly. One was that you would watch stuff we did all the time and go, what are you trying to say? What does that mean? And I would explain it to you and you'd say, that's great. Everything you said, do it there, because you're not going to be at people's home to explain it to them. And I remember they seem very simple, basic things, but you get so lost in the process of making these stories and you get it in your head that everybody knows what everything is. And you just kind of lose your way. When I got here, I was an animation director that did storyboards. And then the second week of working, you said, we're not going to do storyboards. And I was like, I have a 2-year lease in Mill Valley. How unfortunate. but I had to learn to really make movies. And I think that's the big difference for me is I used to watch films and wonder why when we did animation, it doesn't feel the same. And I learned there's a world of reasons why, that the mediums are different and how to approach it with editing and non-linear editing and coverage and shooting with heads and tails. And another big learning curve is just learning to pay attention to all that detail, all the little things. There was a whole other level of thinking the story through and framing shots and staging.
As we move into the future, television was taking off, and we started to have
See, she's
Netflix,
there.
we
She's
started to
there
have
just as
things
much
like
as
that.
Dave has
There
been
was a
there,
definite
absorbing all
movement
this
toward
all.
more sophisticated animation and more sophisticated stories.
The biggest thing you said way back when was the Clone Wars would be immensely more successful on a streaming platform. You were adamant about that. And when Clone Wars got put on
That's
Netflix,
nuts.
it exploded. And the amazing thing to me is all the things that you told me in the beginning in 2005 about virtual shooting, trying to do motion capture, a lot of things that we were trying to implement, which I didn't quite understand, but I was like, there's got to be something. So I got to go with this ZViz, getting rid of hand drawing, not because we don't like it, but because it's just a different medium. And now we do all that stuff. And now everybody's trying to do all that stuff. Now I feel your frustration. What me must have been like, because they do the same mistakes that I remember making. And so that's what I do now. I try to teach people what I was taught because it works.
I say do or do not.
Imagine
I would
Harry
try
Beck.
real
Oh my
hard.
God, that's a great idea, Sim.
I wanted to ask if either of you had favorite episodes or favorite story arcs. Anything just popped to mind when you think of the Clone Wars?
The episodes we did, if you ask my favorite, were the ones that were the least like any of the movies, because that's when we were actually being creative and challenging ourselves and doing things that felt more like Star Wars.
Well, my favorite, I can remember.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
frightened.
It's the one with the droids.
Oh,
going
when they're
across
out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
It's
That's where we
THX
come
White
back.
Limbo in Star Wars Land.
That one's up there because
Oh, no.
who in the world would make that? You were describing this to us, and I was drawing those images in the story meeting of these bleak landscapes with droids questioning whether they were real, just really bizarre. I remember once you had to do a whole 3-part arc on banking and banking deregulation because kids are so into that. And
Well, when I came in, threw that out.
Yeah.
Everybody went, oh, God.
well, we didn't know what to, but I'll say this. I got to cover a wide range of topics directing on this show, which was really good as a storyteller. I wasn't doing just one thing. In some way, it really, really works. And I started understanding the value and definitely watching a lot of movies. I can't stress that enough because we did a whole episode based on Notorious. We did a whole zombie style with the Geonosians. We did a Godzilla episode because I like Godzilla. You threw that little bone in there for me. So that was really fun. But we
I thought
did.
that was Rodan.
Not Rodan. No, that's the flying monster. We did Godzilla. We did Godzilla. You're just giving me a hard time.
Animation, although it's a different medium, it is cinematic. It is just like film. You took uniform, faceless, nameless, numbered clones and you gave them a real sense of individualism and personality. Can you talk about why that theme is so important in the Clone Wars? Because it is such a staple of the show.
Even though they're clones are people. Everybody starts out the same, but in time, as they grow up, they change. One of the keys in doing a movie is you got to recognize the characters.
That was a big challenge. And luckily we had an actor in D. Baker who could do it. And we came with the idea that we could have one guy play them all, and he actually could. You forget when you're watching it that it's all the one guy. In fact, sometimes he's playing good guys and the villain too, which is then really mind-blowing. But yeah, that was a visual challenge. It was an acting challenge, and military personnel have a huge affinity for the clones. It really struck a chord with military families because that idea of being part of
Like
a whole,
Masters,
but also an individual
you'll know
strikes
that
a very important chord for them.
And certainly from a story perspective, you dropped some amazing contributions to Star Wars and the overall story of the prequels. And the first thing that I think of is the breakout star of the show, which is Ahsoka. And I was wondering if you can talk to us about the sort of creation of Ahsoka and when you were first coming up with the idea of giving Anakin a Padawan, what was that creative process like in terms of getting us to where we were at the beginning of season 1?
It just came kind of naturally since we've been dealing with Padawans and masters and things. It would be interesting to see Anakin with a Padawan. And she was, a tough little teenager. She was sort of the student position, but she wouldn't let Anakin tell her anything. She'd question everything he asked her. She'd stand up to him. And sometimes she'd outdo him. So it was a dynamic relationship.
And sometimes she'd fail, which was the best episodes where she would learn something. And it was tricky because you had this precocious teenager. When you watch the early episodes, she really feels like a teenager, being young and a little bit over the top. And later on, when she's mature,
that's what I mean. Like, Masters, you'll know about this because of that
almost
conversation.
Unheard of over so many seasons. So that really worked out. And again, you being
Start the hashtag,
the
Justice for
knowledgeable
5.
math master filmmaker and me, the apprentice, it was easy to try to understand the relationship in the story that we were telling. I think from animation, one of the great things is you never treated the animation as something separate or different. It was just all part of the story. And that meant a lot because a lot of times in animation, you delegate something else. Oh, it doesn't need to be as good, or it's just that animation thing. And we kept pushing to say, but we want the visuals and the story to just be an extension of the films. That's art.
100%.
That's evolving. You never want to sit still. I mean, that's why the last season of the show looks better than the first. We kept pushing it and pushing it, pushing it. We actually found ways, Athena found ways to make the show less expensive while making it better looking, which is a win all around, because that wasn't the most important thing, how much money we were spending on it. We wanted to be tight and lean and effective and tell good stories efficiently, because then we could put that more into development and develop technology to tell the stories even better. So then you're putting your resources where they really need to be, instead of always making up for mistakes or errors or reshoots. You put where the value is.
Thank you so much for taking the time to
There's
talk
so
to
much
all
in
of
this
us.
video alone that we can unpack. Oh my God. But I only watched like the first 30 seconds of that. And I was like, we have to watch this together. It just shows that effectiveness. Like everyone always is like, yes, Dave and George, master and apprentice. But like, it is so fundamental of Dave's experience and expression of Star Wars, his relationship with George and what they were able to achieve together was so important, right? Like, okay, 100%. It's so insane how good he is. Like that interview is awesome. I should probably link this actually, knowing me. I'll link this after the show. This is from a YouTube channel called Star Wars Universe. It's just George Lucas and Dave Filoni talk the Clone Wars. Awesome, great interview there. So I subscribe to them. I don't know Star Wars Universe, but they have this video, and that was amazing. Did anyone pick up on anything in that interview that was really stuck out to them, really resonated with them? I think the most fascinating part is how George really looks at the overall the worth and value in storytelling and how to do good storytelling. And getting Dave to watch many movies, different styles of movies. And I think this is coming back to our point, the key word of the day, cohesion. That's what we're wanting from Dave. And I think that's what we can kind of count on, is that having this overarching feeling and purpose and depth to Star Wars stories. It's been a little up and down. Like I was talking about before, Bad Batch had great moments and it was kind of dark. These characters, maybe not so much here and there. It's been a little up and down, but I really feel like we got some great deep cohesion with Dave coming in. So let's look at the comments. Really love that interview. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I don't even know when it was or like where it was. I don't have any other information from this interview. But again, if you want to go check it out, I'll put the link in the chat if you just want to keep that for later and watch it at your leisure. He absolutely could, actually. He totally does look like that, 100%. Good interview. I really like Dave's vision on the clone individuality. Yeah, that's such a key thing. And like, think about that depth of story in the Clone Wars. And it's people like, obviously, Dave Filoni, but it's also people like Carrie Beck, key person there. Jennifer Corbett was another name thrown in there that's really key. That as much as Dave is this wonderful, wonderful visionary for Star Wars, he too has all these apprentices now. And I think especially he was kind of obviously slowly working with them, I think, through Rebels and Clone Wars, but I think it's really kind of blasted off for the past couple of years with the live action shows. He now has these mini apprentices around the place that I think we should keep an eye on. Coming back to this idea, let's have, where's the comment from Sin? Let's have Carrie Beck as the president of the next president for Lucasfilm. I would love that. That would make me so happy. Lightning coming in saying George was constantly changing things. He valued what was needed for the current story ahead over what may have come before it. Like Anakin having a Padawan, Dave is the same way. Absolutely, I think the challenge for new stories, new way of feeling them was so. That's I think one of the feelings of Star Wars that it gives us. It's this new, fresh ideas, fresh stories they're the same kind of concepts. They're, good and bad, light and dark, redemption arcs. Like all of these things have been told in movies, books, poems, any kind of medium ever for centuries. That's not new, but the way we experience them, Star Wars has always been on the precipice, and because of George Lucas, to break a new way to experience and express that. And I think that has maybe been convoluted in the past, and maybe Dave's vision can bring a bit more of that kind of directive nature to it again. Sin saying the Umbara arc really hits home with me, especially when Rex stands up to Krell and says, "We're not mindless droids, we're alive, and we have names and feelings." Yeah, and I think that's one of the most powerful moments in Star Wars, and that whole Umbara arc as a whole is such an incredibly story told that, again, like in the context of the conversations we're having today, like think of the storytelling, like what makes that good storytelling? What makes that a good story that clearly resonates with you, that really, you say hits home with you? And I know it does for many others in the chat as well. Shout out to the vets in the chat. What about that story? It makes you feel seen. It makes you feel heard. There's understanding. There's depth to it. It's really, really fascinating how well that story is being told. So it's, again, this is essentially all that we're saying here is evidence of why this news of Dave being in charge of the creativity of Star Wars is such a positive, is such a positive. Master Julie agreeing. You've been through that for sure. All of us had that military moment, definitely. Caleb coming in saying, "I love when George does interviews. He always makes sure and name drops his mentor, Francis Ford Coppola." Yes, key person in George's life whenever he can. It's a lineage of storytelling masters and apprentices. True, it just keeps going down, doesn't it? 100%. Oh, hey, Eli, how you doing? You're into the stream. It's been a while since Ahsoka actually kind of broke me. This is probably good, though. This is very good. This is what we're going over there. But yeah, great to have you in the chat again. It is very good. You guys, it's so fun. Dave. I literally bought a black cowboy hat from Nevada all the way to London to be Dave at Celebration. But that ending was back. Oh, in a bad way. You didn't like Ahsoka. I keep putting it on the fact they did cuts for season 2, but the zombie stormtroopers. Oh, so you weren't a fan of Ahsoka. Crazy. They were created to be throwaways, but nobody took into account or cared about their feelings. Yeah, talking again about the Umbara and the clones, 100%. But who was Dave's Padawan? I would say it's Jennifer Corbett. Like in terms of actually like creatively, I would say Jennifer Corbett. Or again, there's a name of another guy that I'm forgetting. Let me just look up his name. I feel so bad I'm forgetting this guy. What is the name of the other guy that does the things? He's the co-creator of Bad Batch. Executive producer, executive director of Bad Batch. Hang on. Give me a minute. I got to find his name. It's going to annoy the pants off me if I don't figure out who this is. What is the name I'm thinking of? Oh, I can't even find it. Brad Rao. I just remembered it. Brad Rao. I think those two are probably Dave's Padawans. That's my 2 cents. I think they're the Padawans. What's Lightning saying? Hey, as Chloe Poon said, each clone matters to him and not expendable, replaceable. That's how our soldiers are too. Absolutely. Jennifer Corbett. This is so fun. Let's go into her IMDb. Let's go there. Jennifer Corbett. Let's get the mood music back on. Okay, so Jennifer Corbett is another name you want to know and be aware of in Star Wars. See, there's Brad Round right there. So she's only been she was a writer on, yes, so she was a writer for Bad Batch. I thought she was in Clone Wars. Am I going crazy? I thought she was in Clone Wars, but she was put in charge of Bad Batch. But I think I'm really starting. Hang on, I feel like this is wrong. I swear she did Clone Wars. Okay, maybe I'm overstating how great she is then. But she's very clever. Like because obviously with Dave's key in hand in the animation of Star Wars and Clone Wars, like everyone kind of expected him to take on when Bad Batch came out, but then obviously his focus shifting to the live action stuff, he had to put someone in charge of Bad Batch, and he put Jennifer Corbett in charge of Bad Batch. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, oh, she's technically the Padawan. Or is Brad Rao's name like in here somewhere else? Let me get it up. Hang on. So Brad Rao is the same. He's kind of in the same boat as Jennifer Corbett. Oh God, I'm so crappy with the screen sharing today. He's in the same boat. And I think this is why, like, I just think this is so important. So he did do actually direct a couple of episodes of Rebels. But again, like Bad Batch was the key Star Wars animation coming out. And Dave Filoni was obviously like head in charge, doing everything of the animation of Clone Wars and Rebels. But when Bad Batch came out, Dave was busy doing all the live action stuff. So he put these two names in charge. And I think that was a good choice of Brad Rao, this guy, this legend, Brad Rao, and also Jennifer Corbett. Those are two really good names. And they're really good people. They're very good people. They have actually a really great interview we should probably look at one day of at Bad Batch at Celebration. They talk about Bad Batch. They're really cool. They're really, really cool. Fun fact, Fen Rao was named after the guy. Oh my God, of course. That's actually a really great fact. Of course. Oh, it's crazy. It's great to have new blood in the fold as long as they are mindful and respectful of the overall story and characters, and not only to be an activist. Are you talking about these two names? Because yeah, they've been in it for a little while, but I think they fit in so well. I think so too. I can kind of see that. Yeah, I always forget his name. That's so true. That's so true. I want to try and find this interview that Brad Rao and Jennifer Corbett had. Let me find it. Should we watch an interview with them? They did an interview with Screen Rant. Should we watch this? Is this going to be good? Okay, I haven't prefaced this video if it's good or not.
We know what's going to happen in the next. We want it to have a big impact because it's something we talk about a lot. The Empire is rising. They're not going anywhere. We know what's going to happen in the next several years in the galaxy. So it's in a way that's challenging, but it's also really fun to explore what that means.
Yeah.
I guess most of these are just going to be for both of you, but I wanted to jump right in. I'm about halfway through the season. I'm absolutely loving it. But the first season of Bad Batch wraps up the storyline of the clones in such a poetic way with the destruction of Kamino. How did you decide where you wanted to jump in for season 2?
I think we knew early on that following the loss of Tipoca City, starting off at a point where the Empire thinks that the Bad Batch perished. So now they're in this window where they're off the Empire's radar. So they have a little bit more freedom, but that sort of means keeping a low profile and not engaging and not getting involved in bigger sort of conflicts. And how long that lasts for them, because of, as you've seen, they sort of get pulled back into the fight. Because we wanted to give Omega and them an opportunity to have a little bit of time where they've grown
Such
a
a
little
good question,
bit. We can see
Caleb.
Omega, she's a little bit older and she's a bit more trained. And Yeah, that was the thinking in that.
I really love that you have the Bad Batch surviving, trying to, as you said, kind of get by on their own, but then you're also exploring the transition from the Republic to the Empire that we see in A New Hope. Is it a challenge to balance those storylines? Because they're not always intertwined in the season.
Anytime we start talking about the Empire, it sort of takes over and it becomes a big thing. So balancing the season was, is key for us, same in season 1, but the more that we wanted to show, the more the Empire spreading, the more it affects them in various ways, and not even just that all the storylines are Imperial. It's that because of what the Empire is doing, it's allowing other groups to sort of rise and also be bad. And those are kind of groups that the Batch also interacts with. But that's sort of the domino effect of the Empire's, reign of power.
And we could see the Empire getting bigger and mightier and more imposing. So if we get close to that fire, it's going to get hot. We wanted to really make sure that when we do, specifically through the mouths of our characters, like, are we going to do this? If they interact at all with the Empire, whether on purpose or accidentally, we wanted to have a big impact, because it's something we talk about a lot. The Empire is rising. They're not going anywhere. We know what's going to happen in the next several years in the galaxy. So it's in a way that's challenging, but it's also really fun to explore what that means.
Brad.
So there's something about how different creatives talk I'll talk about specifically Star Wars, right? One thing I really love, and I think this is what strikes me about Jennifer and Brad, that how they speak about Bad Batch, what they created, is that they have such an understanding of the story for Star Wars, and they have such an understanding. They don't talk about it like it's this separate thing, like it's this like, oh, this is just like a thing we did because we are creators, or we are writers, or we are producers. Like, it's not this separate second party thing that's over there. It's not this separate entity. They speak about what they created, specifically Star Wars, Bad Batch, the world of Bad Batch. From that world, they speak as if they're in that world now, and they're expressing it out. So they don't kind of. Does that make sense? I don't know how to better express what I'm trying to get across here, but it's like they speak from their minds within that world. It's not. I think there's a few, and I'm not going to name who. There's a few creatives in Star Wars in various shows or whatever that kind of speak like, oh, I am just this creative, and like that was Star Wars was just this project that like I happened to do for the summer. Like there's a few people that speak like that, which I don't really enjoy. But this is a very, I think Dave Filoni is very much like this, where he speaks from being in that world. You know what I mean? It's like you're speaking from that deep within that experience of where they're coming from, and that shows me that like they are so deep in the understanding of this story and this world, this environment, that that's where they're expressing it from. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I've got to say. Hang on, let's keep going.
You direct a lot of these. What's your collaboration like with D. Bradley Baker at this point? Because I can't imagine the amount of work that he's doing, but he's also inhabiting these characters for so long. Do you just kind of let him do his thing, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot. So when we go into record in the booth or over Zoom, however it may be, Jen and I are there, and we talk about it with all of the cast, including D. And D's so great because not only is he an amazing talent, but he thinks about what the characters are doing, and he'll react to the script. And we sometimes talk for 30 or 40 minutes before we even start recording anything, just to get into where we were, where we're going, and then we go when he actually is performing. I mean, it was so fun to be able to be on stage at Celebration with D. And
oh my God, yeah, sorry, hang on, pause that. Yes, lightning, that triggers me 100%. Yeah, you want to hear the passion. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's where that comes from. That passion of like how they speak about it.
Michelle, to have them do a live reading so the fans could see not only how talented Michelle is, but D going between all of the different characters live is he does that every single session. It's wild. So yeah, he doesn't need a lot of direction, but it's, we're there to make sure that, we're telling the story the right way.
And Jennifer, as a writer, do you have, I saw in the trailer that Palpatine's back, there's a lot of established characters, and you're exploring these, the kind of newer creations. Who are your favorites to write for? Are there people that you like nerd out about the most when you're writing?
It's hard to top Palpatine, but also it's a blessing and a curse, because you have such a legacy that you want to make sure it sounds like that person. So, and it's same with anytime we bring in a character from Star Wars, we want to make sure it's, we're not completely changing their character or changing how they sound. But I think, there have been a few in season 2 that are just that were so exciting to see. I don't want to spoil a lot, but
You're probably talking about
it was definitely there were some surreal moments of where it's like, oh, we can't believe we're actually writing this character. So that's pretty much all I can say without spoiling things.
I'll just say, just to piggyback on that, because for the Emperor, we got Ian McDermott to come and do the voice. What an amazing treat. And directing him, speaking of not needing too much direction, explain how it's going, always a little awestruck working with the legacy cast like that. He's so very unlike the Emperor. He's the nicest guy. So great. And there was a funny moment where he corrected the grammar in the script. So I was like, you tell me you are the Sith Lord, sir.
That's so cool.
That's amazing.
So fun.
And then I personally don't know if this happens in the season, but as just a Star Wars fan and someone who loves the genesis of Omega, what would it take for Omega and Boba Fett to meet at some point in the timeline?
This isn't really the story about the Boba Fett. And I'll just say, we talk about. I mean, we're such big fans. I've got a gigantic Boba Fett action figure right over there on screen. But the thing about Omega is like when we talk about point of view and where she's at in the galaxy, where everyone else is at. She really is in my mind, the heart of the team, and how you see how she makes other people react, how she affects other people. Really, our story is mostly about that. I'll just leave it at that.
And Boba's on at this point in the timeline, he's on a different path right now.
That's so true.
Yeah. For sure. Well, amazing. Again, I love the show so much. Congratulations. And
amazing. Yeah. So anyway, this is like a random departure from Dave Filoni, but not too far. But if I can convince you of anything today, is that these two names of people, Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao, I think this is my submission for these two are Dave's best Padawans in Lucasfilm. They're really, really clever creatives. So they're both co-creators of Bad Batch. I feel like I keep saying who they are. But they're really, again, come back to, and like what you're all pointing out in the chat, like the way they speak about Star Wars is so specific. They're speaking from within the galaxy, within their point of what they're trying to express. It's not about them. It's about the story. It's about the lineage. It's about the journey of Star Wars. It's all about those things. They're really great people. They're really, really great people. This guy can stay 100%, 100%. I applaud Star Wars writers and creators who show thoughtful respect for characters and you, especially old with many diehard fans grew up with, while also evolving their character development. True, it is hard, but I think Jennifer explains it right there. Like Palpatine in season 2 was like, that's a big name to handle, but I think they dealt with that character so well, in my opinion. Let's get the mood music back going. They do speak the way Dave speaks. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I can't put my finger on it, how or why, but they do, don't they? They do, don't they? What's that sound? Why is that coming through? Hang on, give me a second. Why is that coming through there? Hang on. There we go. There we go. The animation department of Lucasfilm have already got everything in the right so far. In my opinion, I wish the live action was as consistent. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Right, Astro? Right? Yeah, we touched on that a little earlier. What is funny about this is back in the day, people used to shit on Filoni for rewriting expanded universe stories and characters, and now everybody loves him. Reminds me of how George got a break. Didn't get a break yet. True. 100%. That's true. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Hey, Jason! Oh my god, get in here, champ. What do you think? What do you think of the news? I like how you're making your own notification, dude. Oh. I know, we're crazy. We're crazy. But yeah, I think, you know, in this, and maybe I should even do more of this on the channel because I'm actually really interested about this. There's kind of an element of like I said at the start of the stream, there's an element of the corporate that I just don't understand. And I think with a lot of the past things, and it's purely because I didn't really, I've only been a Star Wars content creator for like a fraction of the time I've been a Star Wars fan. And while I was a Star Wars fan, I didn't pay too much attention to the corporate side. So that's why I'm like, my knowledge just isn't in that depth of the corporate side. But now, when shows I really love and also being a creator, like I kind of pay more attention to these things. And these two people have always caught my eye. And especially, I feel like I want to do a whole other stream just on these two. Maybe when Bad Batch Season 3 gets announced, we're going to do a whole thing about it. Let's do that. Let's say that. Keep me to that. But yeah, they did, at the recent celebration this year, they did a panel on Bad Batch. And again, the absolute passion, knowledge, and selflessness they speak about Star Wars with is just infectious. It's so good. It's so, so good. I posted that story this morning. It's so fine. This is a great derail. No, I haven't. What's Rebel Moon? Is that the one that's like kind of Star Wars? I don't even know what it is. So happy that it's official. Absolutely, Jason. Yeah, we totally all agree. Right? What about Andy? What about Andy? The ones that can ruin the franchise are the wizards behind the scenes, greedy executives. Maybe not all of them, but I'm sure a good lot of them. I mean, well, freaking, I know it's not head of like whatever Lucasfilm, but I hate Bob Iger, man. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. He was so sleazy with the strikes, man. So sleazy. That's true. There's so many fans that hate the Phantom Menace. Oh, I remember when I posted like a video about me saying The Phantom Menace was my favorite movie. The absolute disgusting, horribly sexistly horrible comments people said about me was insane. But yeah, but that's a story for another day. But anyway, good news. Dave Filoni. Good stuff. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. We'll jump into doing the Star Wars Clone Wars behind the scenes rewatch another day. We got lots of time. We'll do that in the coming days. But you want to make sure you are here tomorrow night. We are having a Thanksgiving special, which is going to be amazing. Let me get it on the screen. Let me get the thing on the screen for you. Hang on. Here we go. We're doing a Thanksgiving special tomorrow night. And if you loved in the Ahsoka streams doing the whiteboard sessions, that is coming back tomorrow for our Thanksgiving. We're going to have a great time giving thanks. So keep them in your head what you give thanks to for Star Wars so far, because we're going to be going through that tomorrow night. But this is good news to celebrate. It's going to be interesting in the coming days, probably not days or weeks, but months and years to see how much of effect that we have as Dave being in charge of the creative side of Lucasfilm. How much change will that bring? I'll send us them all coming in right at the last minute. 100%. Thank you, Fatch. I appreciate it. Number of great Mando episodes. That's so true. I love Andy's shirts, man. What are you talking about? the George Lucas formula. Yeah, 100%. It's totally the George Lucas formula. An error code? Hang on. I can't even get this on the screen. But we're going to have a good time. I thought we were going to be brainstorming a new Holiday special. What's wrong with the original one? What's wrong with the original run? That is what I give so much credit to FIloni and his team, being able to redeem in sorts the past arcs and characters who got a lot of hate or negativity. So good on Dave for that, 100%. No worries. We're streaming all the time at the moment, so I can't wait to catch you in the next one. It went with the comment above. Hang on. People that like Star Wars doesn't necessarily mean they will be good filmmakers, showrunners. I don't think Carl Weathers had much knowledge of Star Wars lore, but he's gone on to direct. And to be fair, his episodes aren't actually that bad. I actually really enjoy his episodes of Mando. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It is very cool. How can I not get this thing? There we go. All right, tomorrow night. Here we go. Finally. God help me. Thanksgiving special. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great time to kick off your Thanksgiving weekend in celebration. You guys, I understand you guys have like a bunch of time off. So we're going to be here live tomorrow night, same time, giving thanks to what we love in Star Wars. It's going to be really good. Kirsty enjoying the membership for 2 months. My God, this took so quick. That went so quickly. My God. Loving the stream tonight. Great interviews and awesome news in Dave We Trust. 100%. You'll be there same time as 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern, and that's 11 a.m. Australian time as well. But for now, I feel like we've covered all that we have. We love Dave so much. This is great news. We're also happy about it. I love, I hope you enjoyed, like what Kirsty said, I hope you enjoyed those interviews. I just came across that first one. I was like, this is good. This is very good. Let's go do it together. So this has been such a great discussion. I love hearing all your thoughts. So make sure you're back for tomorrow. It's going to, again, the whiteboard session live shows are always crazy. They're always a little nuts. I really, really love them. So I can't wait to bring back the whiteboard. Make it a thing. Make it a thing. But thanks so much for hanging out tonight. Appreciate you being here and letting me know what you think. UK time, I think it's about, what's the UK time, Kirsty? Is it like 11 p.m. maybe? Or 10 p.m. something? Or midnight maybe? I don't know. Whatever time it is there, but an hour and a half ago. All right, let's get the hell out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of the evening. And make sure you always choose the right side. The saddest realization is when people come in late. I'm gonna like go cry about this now, Jason. Do I keep it going just for Jason? That's so sad. Oh, there's always someone. There's always got to be someone that comes in like the last second. It's usually either Sublight or who else sometimes does it? Chicken's done it a few times, I think. They come in like the last minute. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm about to end. Oh well, we're going live like another 10 times the next like 2 minutes, so I'll see you tomorrow night anyway. Rah!